Dear students, welcome to Pramana Biology online classes. Today's session is very special session for you people because from this session we are going to start NEET biology. So here already we have completed the explanation about the theoretical concepts, particularly chapter number 1, reproduction in organisms. So after the completion of theoretical concepts, here in this session mainly we discuss about the NEET concepts related to this topic. See, reproduction in organisms, it is a very important chapter. This is the basic chapter because this chapter provides the basic knowledge required to study chapter number 2 as well as the chapter number 3. Chapter number 2, sexual reproduction in flowering plants, and chapter number 3, human reproduction. To study these two chapters, some basic knowledge of reproduction is required, and this is the chapter which gives the basic idea required for the study of those chapters. Please concentrate. So here, this chapter is having so many concepts. So here, we start with the concept lifespan. So what is lifespan? See here, once again, I am not explaining the complete chapter here. Briefly, we discuss the concept. Here, this is the class synopsis for chapter number 1. Here we discuss the synopsis of chapter number 1, reproduction in organisms. So lifespan, we have discussed that it is the period from birth to natural death of organisms. That period is said to be the lifespan. And here lifespan is not remain same for all the organisms. It varies. Different species have different lifespan. So for example, when we observe elephant, lifespan is 50 to 70 years, dog 20 years, butterfly 1 to 2 weeks, cow 15 years. These are some of the example from animal group. When we observe the plant group, banana tree, lifespan is 2 to 3 years, cow 22 years, parrot 140 years, crocodile 60 years, horse 40 to 50 years. There are so many examples. See here, the lifespan varies from species to species. This is different for plants and animals. Here, the lifespan is not dependent on the body size of organism. Already we have discussed this. For example, see the elephant. It is the bigger animal. Body is bigger. It is not the meaning the lifespan is bigger lifespan. It is having the greater lifespan. It lives for the 50 to 70 years, whereas the parrot is, compared to elephant, it is small in size, but it lives for 140 years. Like this here, the size of the organism is not correlated with the lifespan. So next, in this chapter, mainly we have to concentrate on the aspects of reproduction. What is reproduction? It is the biological process where an organism reproduces the young one of its own kind to continue the life, to continue the generation, to continue its species in the nature. So this is said to be the reproduction. So here there are two types of reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Here name itself indicates that asexual, there is no involvement of sex organs. There is no involvement of sex cells. See, sex cells means gametes, male gamete and female gamete. Commonly these are said to be the sex cells, gametes. Where the gametes are produced? Gametes are produced within the gonads, reproductive organs, sex organs. Here, asexual reproduction, it is the type of reproduction which occurs without the formation and fusion of gametes. Means, this type of reproduction doesn't require the gametes. When gametes are not required, then there is no involvement of sex organs or the sex cells in this way it is considered as asexual. Commonly, asexual reproduction is uniparental. Single parental organism is carried out the complete process of reproduction in asexual method of reproduction. So here, sexual reproduction, it is the type of reproduction which involves the formation and fusion of gametes. Here, gametes are produced. These gametes are undergoes the fusion. Then there is a formation of zygote. This zygote develops into the embryo, and this embryo further develops into the complete individual organism. Compared to asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction is lengthy process, slow process, and it is complicated mechanism. So we discuss these first asexual reproduction, and later we discuss about the sexual reproduction. So first we concentrate on asexual reproduction. So already we have discussed that it is the type of reproduction where there is no formation of gametes, there is no fusion of gametes. Means in asexual reproduction, fertilization is absent. Fertilization not occurs. So in your examination, you should remember all these things. Fertilization absent. Fertilization not occurs. What is fertilization? Fusion of gametes. Fusion of haploid male gamete and the haploid female gamete is called fertilization. This process is absent here. Without fertilization, this mechanism occurs. And here, this is uniparental. Commonly, the single parental organism can carry out the complete process of asexual reproduction. See, commonly in the sexual reproduction, there is a biparental in maximum cases. Here, male parent and female parents are present. Male parent produce the male gametes, female parent produce the female gamete, and these two gametes undergoes the fusion, nothing but fertilization. Then there is a formation of zygote. This zygote develops into the embryo, and this gives the new organism. This is sexual reproduction, and here commonly in many of the cases it is biparental. But the sexual reproduction here directly the body cells, somatic cells or any propagule directly develops into the new individual. Some body part, somatic cell or any specialized spore or any specialized propagule, it may directly gives to the new individual. There is no need of another organism. Here in asexual reproduction, single organism carried out the process, so it is uniparental. Here, this organism doesn't require companion to perform this process. Hence, it is asexual reproduction. It is uniparental. Single parental organism perform this one. Clones. What is the meaning of clones? Identical offsprings. What is the meaning of identical offsprings? Similar offsprings. Similar in what? Similar in their morphology, similar in their genetics. Clones means whenever the asexual reproduction occurs, individuals are produced, new generation is produced, offspring are produced. These offsprings are similar to their parents in morphology, in genetics. Because of this reason, they are said to be clones. These are identical offspring compared to their parents. They have similar type of morphology, similar type of genes. What is the reason here asexual reproduction leads to the formation of clones? See here, already I explained that during asexual reproduction, somatic cell or otherwise any specialized spore or propagule directly gives the new individual. Say this is new organism. And already we know that there is no gamete formation and fusion. Gametes are not produced. Gametes are not fused. Directly body cells, they produce the new individual. Because of the absence of gametogenesis, there is no meiosis. If there is no meiosis, there is no genetic recombination, because meiosis is the reductional cell division. Of course, here the number of chromosome reduced to half in daughter cells. Not only this one, during the meiosis, specialized mechanism occurs commonly in the prophase 1. It is called crossing over, where the non-sister chromatids of homologous chromosomes exchange their genetic material at the position called chiasma. Already complete mechanism you have studied in your PUC first year, chapter 10, cell cycle and reproduction. There you have discussed this concept. So crossing over leads to the recombination. But in the asexual reproduction, no meiosis. Because of this reason, no crossing over, no genetic recombination. This is the one. Second is no gametic formation, and there is a fusion of gametes is absent. Here male and female gametes are not fused. Because of this reason also, there is no genetic variations are reported. What happens supposed to be gametes are fused. Here the male gamete fuses with the female gamete. This male gamete comprises the genome belongs to the male parent. This female gamete comprises the genome belongs to the female parent. When during fertilization, when these two gametes fuse, they causes the mixing of genome belongs to the both the parents, male and female parents. The genes originated from the maternal and paternal origin are mixed here. Because of this reason, here see, genes belongs to two different individuals get mixed. This leads to the genetic recombination. But in the asexual reproduction, gametic fusion, fertilization is absent. Because of this reason, there is no genetic recombination. Meiosis is absent, fertilization is absent, no genetic recombination is occur. Because of this reason, what type of genetic material, genetic composition, genic composition present in the parental organism as it is, without any disturbance, without any recombination, it is transferred to the offspring. Because of this reason, this individual comprises the same type of genetic material. When the similar type of genetic material is present, then it shows the similar type of biological characters. Because of this reason, this offspring is become identical to the parental organism. Hence, it is considered as clone. So this is about the clone. So here we have discussed that clones, they do not show variations. They do not show genetical, morphological variations. Commonly, they continue the parental genetical composition as well as the biological characters. So the next, when we observe the asexual reproduction, there are different types are present, reported, because different types of organisms, they have developed different types of asexual reproduction because of environmental conditions, because of habitat variations. During their adaptation, many of the organisms have evolved different types of biological characters. During this evolution process, these organisms have developed different methods of asexual reproduction which is suitable with respect to their habitat as well as the environmental conditions. Types. The first one is cell division. Immediately we think about the mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis commonly occurs in the somatic cells. Here the cells divide. The number of chromosomes remain same. Commonly it is helpful for the growth, formation of new body structures. Meiosis, it is the reductional cell division. Commonly it is helpful for the formation of haploid cells, particularly gametic cells are produced by the meiosis. These concepts we studied with respect to the cell division. Just you think that here, this is unicellular organism, when it performs the cell division, particularly mitosis, I am not talking about the meiosis here, mitosis. First you think generally, single parental cell is present, it undergoes the mitosis, it produces the two daughter cells. Okay, these are the two daughter cells, and these daughter cells comprises the same number of chromosome as present in the parent. This we know. Okay, mitosis. But you just think that this is the single-celled organism. This is unicellular organism. When it performs the mitosis, it produces the daughter cells. Up to here it is looking common, but just observe this one. Here it is become double. It increased its number. Commonly, when organisms increase their number, when they perform the reproduction, that means here mitosis is the type of cell division in unicellular organism. It become a method of asexual reproduction. That means unicellular organism, whenever they performs the mitosis, not only they performing the cell division, it is the meaning that they are performing asexual reproduction also. You please remember this. Here meiosis is not act as asexual reproduction type of cell division, because in meiosis number of chromosome not remain same compared to parental cell. In meiosis number of chromosome reduced to half. Because of this reason meiosis is not helpful for the asexual reproduction, whereas mitosis is the cell division. It is helpful for the asexual reproduction, particularly in the unicellular organisms. The next, binary fission. Binary fission, it is a type of asexual reproduction commonly performed by the unicellular organisms. Very good example reported in the amoeba, Paramecium, euglena. In cell division, single parental cell is present. During binary fission, nucleus first divide. Nucleus is become dumbbell shaped, and gradually constriction develop in the nucleus. After this cytoplasma divide, then there is a formation of daughter cells. This is said to be the binary fission. Single cell split or divide into the two daughter cells. Commonly, unicellular organisms which reproduce asexually by the method of cell division and binary fission are commonly said to be the immortal. What is the reason? Because in cell division, this is the parental cell, it divides into two daughter cells. In binary fission, this is the parental cell, it is split into two daughter cells. That means a parental cell now change or developed into the offspring. So it do not die, it never die. Here also, this is the parental cell, it shows the nuclear division and cytoplasmic division, then it leads to the formation of new individual. Hence, parental cell now become new offsprings, new daughter cells. Because of this reason, here parental cell do not die, never dies. Because of this reason, here it is said to be the immortal. Commonly, in this way, unicellular organism mainly performing asexual reproduction by cell division as well as the binary fission are immortal. So please remember this. Here we have next concept, budding. It is also asexual method of reproduction. Very good example reported in the yeast and hydra. Here, this is the parental organism. This parental organism produce the outgrowth, and this outgrowth receives the some genetical composition as well as the cytoplasmic composition from the parental cell. it grow as outgrowth. When this outgrowth, commonly called bud, when it completely develop, it detach from the parental body to act as new offspring, new individual. This is budding in unicellular fungi yeast. When we observe the hydra is coelenterate. Here, this is the hydra. Here, in hydra, there is a small outgrowth is developed. This is said to be the bud. Gradually, this bud grow in size. When it grow completely, it detach from the parental body to act as separate individual organism. So, this is said to be the budding. Next, zoospores. Here we have zoospores and conidia. These are comes under the specialized reproductive structures. First we discuss about the zoospores. Name itself indicate that zoo, movement, means these are the motile spores. Commonly when we observe the zoospores, it is drawn like this. Chlamydomonas, it is a type of algae. This Chlamydomonas produce the zoospores. Zoospores are motile due to the presence of flagella. These are flagellated spores. Due to the presence of flagella, these are motile spores. Commonly, this Chlamydomonas release these zoospores into the water. In water, they show some motility in favorable conditions, and on suitable substratum, these zoospores germinate and develop into the new individual organisms. So, these are flagellated motile spores. Conidia. Conidia are non-motile, non-flagellated spores, commonly produced by the fungi, popularly Penicillium and Aspergillus. These are the fungi. They produce the conidia. In different species of fungi, conidia is having different shape and size. Maybe the conidia is crescent shaped. It may be oval, elongated and septate. In a different species of fungi, conidia have different shape, size and structure. These are non-motile. They are non-flagellated. They do not have any type of flagella. Then how they disperse from parental body? Commonly, these are carried by the wind. In maximum cases, these conidia are carried by the wind. In some cases, in some moist cases, water is the medium. Water is the medium in rare cases, but wind can carry these conidia. And when these conidia reach the suitable substratum in favorable environmental conditions, these conidia germinate into the new fungal organism, new individual. So, conidia. Next, gemmules. Gemmules are specialized reproductive structure produced by the sponges. Commonly, these gemmules are said to be internal buds. Here, while discussing about the budding, we have discussed budding in yeast and hydra. Here, this budding is said to be the external bud, because here the bud is growing as an outgrowth from the parental body, whereas gemmules are the internal bud. These are the structures, they are produced within the body of sponges. Because of this reason, these are said to be the internal buds. When we observe the gemmules, commonly this type of structure is present. Here, this is the opening. It is said to be the ostiole. In some of the cases, it is said to be the micropyle. Micropyle or ostiole mean opening. Here inside this gemule, we observe these specialized cells. These specialized cells are said to be the archaeocytes. And here, the wall of gemule comprises the spicules. These spicules provides the mechanical strength, protection. And these archaeocytes release from the micropyle into the external environment. In external environment, they grow, they germinate into the new individuals as a sponge, like this. So this is about the gemule. Similarly, we have another type. It is said to be the gemme. So here, don't get confused with the gemmules and the gemme. Gemmules, internal bud, they are produced by the sponge. This is the structure. These are said to be the internal buds. Inside the gemule, we observe the specialized cells called archaeocytes. So this is the different structure. Then what about this gemme? Gemme is produced by some of the bryophytes like Markensia. Markensia. So on the thallus on the body of Markensia, we observe the cup-like structure. This is called gemma cup. Within this gemma cup, we observe the specialized spores, and these specialized spores are called gemme. These gemme, when reach the suitable conditions, they germinate to produce the new individual offspring. This is said to be the gemme produced by the Markensia. Markensia is the bryophyte. So this is the gemme and this one is the gemule. You please remember this one. So here we have to discuss the next concept, encystation and sporulation. See here, encystation and sporulation is unique type of asexual reproduction commonly performed by some unicellular organisms in unfavorable conditions to escape from unfavorable conditions. Encystation and sporulation commonly performed by the protozoa organisms. Very good example, amoeba. So during unfavorable conditions, say this is amoeba. In unfavorable conditions, this amoeba withdraw its pseudopodia and develops the thick protective covering around the body. And the complete organism, the complete cell enter into the rest. This stage is said to be the cyst stage, and this phenomena is called encystation. Encystation means it is the process during unfavorable conditions. Some of the protozoa organisms enter into the resting phase called cyst. This phenomena is called encystation. And whenever there is a reoccurrence of a favorable condition, this cyst is become active. This cyst cell become active and undergoes the multiple fission, and because of multiple fission, the single cell divide into the many spores. Finally, this cyst rupture to liberate the spores. This phenomena is called sporulation, and these spores develops into the new individual organism. This phenomena is called sporulation. So this complete process is encystation and sporulation. So please remember this one. Here we have another one concept. It is said to be the fragmentation. What is this fragmentation? Fragmentation is commonly reported in the lower organisms. For example, say this is the filamentous alga. This filamentous alga cut into the pieces due to mechanical injuries, and these mechanical injuries may caused due to the movement of aquatic animals or because of water currents. Whenever the body is cut into two pieces, these pieces are said to be the fragments. After fragmentation, this organism do not die. These fragments have the capability to develop into the new complete individual. So this is fragmentation, and these fragments have the capability to develop into the complete individual. This is said to be the regeneration. So fragmentation is become successful method of asexual reproduction in some of the organisms where organisms have high regeneration capacity. Commonly algae, fungi, bryophytes, these organisms have very well developed regeneration capability, and in animals, particularly flatworms, very good example, planaria is having high rate of regeneration. So fragmentation and regeneration. Here we have next concept, vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is a type of asexual reproduction commonly performed by the higher plants. Here mainly we concentrate on the angiosperms, means flowering plants. Here vegetative propagation is of two types, natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. First we discuss about the natural vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is a method of asexual reproduction where the vegetative body part develops the new organism, new individual. This is vegetative propagation. The body part, the vegetative body part which is helpful for the asexual method of reproduction is called vegetative propagule. Angiosperms commonly shows the different types of vegetative propagation. Angiosperms, different types of angiosperms develops the different types of vegetative propagules to performs the vegetative propagation. In angiosperms, different species, they develop different types of vegetative propagules to performs the vegetative propagation. So here when we observe this one, so rhizome is commonly reported in the ginger. Rhizome is horizontally growing stem. It is growing within the soil. It is underground stem, commonly reported in the ginger. It shows the node-signed internodes. It produces the adventitious roots, scaly leaves, and commonly in the nodal position it comprises the buds, axillary buds, and through these auxiliary buds it develops the new plantlets. So in this way, rhizome, it is a modified stem. It acts as vegetative propagule in the ginger. Tuber, example potato. Here it is also stem modification, underground stem modification. Here potato, stem modification. Here stem is become swollen due to the storage of food in the form of starch on the surface. Here it comprises the eyes. Commonly in these eyes we observe the axillary buds, and these axillary buds have the capability to develop the new plants. Bulb, example reported from the onion. Here stem is remain short and it is surrounded with many leaves. Here the leaves become thick and fleshy. These are called scaly leaves. Leaves become thick and fleshy to store food. Here the stem is remain short. Through this axillary buds, here this stem develops the new plant. The next one is a runner, commonly reported in the grass. Say this is the well-developed parental body. Here this is the ground level. From the base, this grass plant produces a short branch of stem which grow horizontally along the surface of soil. After short distance, it starts to produce the adventitious root system and the new plant body. This horizontally growing stem is said to be the runner. It is a type of stem modification. It is subaerial stem modification. Next, stolon. So here, stolon is commonly reported in the mint. It is commonly reported in the mint and strawberry. Here, this is the parental plant body. Say this is the parental plant body. The lateral branch grow in the form of arch, and first it grow erect, then it is bent downward. Where it touch the soil, there it start to produce the adventitious roots. Later it develops the new plant body. This arch-like stem is said to be the stolon. Next is sucker. Here sucker is commonly reported in the banana and the chrysanthemum. Say here this is the main parental plant body. Here the lateral branch grow downward, and the reason where it touch the soil, it start to produce the adventitious roots. After the formation of a root system, this branch again grow erect to produce new plant body. So this is said to be the sucker. Next is offset. Offset is commonly reported in the hydrophytes, means the plants which grow in water. Here, very good example reported in the pistia and eichhornia. Say here, when we observe the pistia, this plant is present like this. Here the root system is present. Small stem is present here. Here, this pistia plant produce the horizontal branch of stem which grow for a short distance and start to produce the new root system and the plantlets, and this one is act as a new plant body. This horizontally growing stem is said to be the offset. This offset helpful for the vegetative propagation, which is a type of asexual method of reproduction. This offset is also made up of parenchyma. We know that the parenchyma develops the large air chambers, then it is considered as the parenchyma. And due to the presence of parenchyma, this offset is also helpful to provide the buoyancy to the plant body. Buoyancy, floating capacity of hydrophytes. Hydrophytes float on water surface. This capacity is buoyancy. This buoyancy developed by the hydrophytes due to parenchyma. So here this offset is also helpful to provide some buoyancy. But here we are concentrating on the vegetative propagation. So this is the offset. Not only offset is reported in the pistia, this is also reported in the plant called eichhornia. It is commonly called water hyacinth. So here it comprises the bulbous petiole. The leaves are modified. The petiole is become somewhat bulbous. Here leaves are present. So this is the offset, and here root system is produced. New plants are produced. This is the offset in eichhornia. It is commonly called water hyacinth. This eichhornia is popularly called Bengal terror. It is the exotic plant. For the first time, it is introduced in India, particularly in the Bengal area. This eichhornia shows the luxuriant growth. By its luxuriant growth, it destroys the remaining aquatic flora and fauna. Due to this reason, here it is said to be Bengal terror. So here, this is the eye cornea. Next, when we observe epiphyllous buds, very good example reported in the bryophyllum. So here, leaves are thick and fleshy. These leaves comprises well-developed notch in the margin area. In these leaf notch, we observe the buds, and these buds are said to be the leaf buds commonly, or these are called epiphyllous buds. And these buds have the capability to germinate or develop into the new plantlets. This method is said to be epiphyllous bud type of vegetative propagation. And whenever these leaflets are produced, this main leaf detach from the parental body, it fall off, and when it touch the soil, these plantlets started to produce roots within the soil, spread their roots within the soil, and they act as individual separate plants. So in this way, epiphyllous buds are helpful to perform the vegetative propagation, particularly in the bryophyllum. There is another one plant, commonly it is said to be the Kalanchoe. This is also produce the epiphyllous buds. So this is about the vegetative propagation, and all these types are comes under the natural methods of vegetative propagation. Now we discuss about the artificial methods of vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation. Artificial vegetative propagation commonly involves the human involvement. So what are these things? Cutting, layering, and grafting. First we discuss about the cutting. It is the traditional method of artificial vegetative propagation commonly seen in sugarcane. We have observed the sugarcane stem. Here this stem possesses the axillary buds. Commonly farmers, they cut the stem piece with nodal position and well-developed axillary bud, and this stem piece is used as cutting. It is directly placed within the soil, and this axillary bud gradually germinate and gives rise to the new plant body. This is said to be the cutting. So here cutting is also reported in the rose plant, where the well-developed twig is cut and planted in new area. Next one is layering. There are two types of layering, mound layering and the air layering. So what is layering? Layering is the method where root formation is induced in the twig of plant body, and after the formation of roots, the rooted twig is cut and introduced or planted in new area. Here mound layering, in this method, say here this is the main plant body. Here the lateral, well-developed lateral branch is selected, and it is bent downward in such a way that it should touch the soil. The reason where it touch the soil, the minor injury is made, and the injured part is covered with the soil. After few days, this injured part start to produce the adventitious roots. Then this rooted part is cut and it is planted in new area as a separate individual plant. This is said to be the mound layering, whereas in the air layering, aerial lateral branch is selected. Here the minor injury is made. The injured area is covered with the grafting clay. Here grafting clay is prepared by mixing clay and cow dung. Here the grafting clay is applied, and this area is covered with the polythene cover. After few days, this injured area start to produce the roots. After the formation of root system, this twig is cut below the rooted part and it is introduced or planted in new area. This is said to be the layering. So here finally we discuss about the grafting. It is somewhat interesting method of artificial method of vegetative propagation. Here two parts are selected. This rooted part is called stalk and the upper part, stem part, is said to be scion. Here stalk comprises the roots, scion comprises the leaves. Maybe this stalk and scion belongs to the different varieties. So here this is the stalk. To this stalk scion is attached. Here this is the stalk, this is the scion. Supposed to be here V-shaped cut is made. It comes under the wedge-shaped grafting. Supposed to be here oblique cutting is made in the scion as well as the stalk. This is said to be the whip type of grafting, or it is also said to be the tongue type of grafting. And these are attached. After the attachment, some grafting clay is pasted and grafted part is covered with the cloth or the polythene covers. So the next one is bud grafting. In bud grafting, in the stem, minor injury is made in the injured area, not the scion, but isolated bud is placed here. In this injured part, isolated bud is attached. From where this bud is isolated, well-developed superior quality plants, this bud is isolated. This bud is isolated from the superior quality plants. That bud is inserted or attached to the injured part. After this, it is covered with the polythene cover or cloth. After this bud start to produce the new twig. So like this here, this is said to be the bud grafting. Commonly, grafting is very easily performed in dicot plants, but grafting is not possible in monocot plants. What is the reason? See here, dicot plants, they show cambium. There is a presence of cambium in the dicot plants. Due to the presence of cambium, it is possible to perform the grafting in dicot plants, whereas the monocot plants, they are lack of cambium. They do not produce the cambium. Lateral meristems are absent. Cambium is a type of lateral meristem. It is absent in monocot. Because of this reason, in monocots it is not possible to perform the grafting, whereas cambium, nothing but lateral meristem, it is present in the dicot. So in dicots we can perform the grafting very easily. So you please remember this. This is the complete account about the asexual method of reproduction. In next class, we will proceed with the synapses of sexual reproduction. So friends, thank you.